One stock that caught my eye today, more for kind of the macro picture and what it tells us about the world, really, is Joy Global. So they reported early this morning. They're saying that they're low end of earnings and sales range for the end of the year. But they didn't say any more bad news. Okay, so their earnings and revenue might be the lower range of their estimates, but no more bad news out there. Is the CapEx cycle kind of bottoming out? Are commodities going to start to turn around or find a floor? That's the interesting question for me.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was a red day, but I was excited this morning by the initial claims number.
I know you were.
It just keeps staying so low. It's so consistent. There's no sign of a turn up. And, you know, it's not the end-all and be-all, but I just, you know, I never get too worried when I just see it continually surprise economists to the downside or the upside, you know.
And of course, we have the jobs day tomorrow, so it's
exactly.
not going to factor in, but...
Right.
Well, I was fascinated by the Greece headlines that rolled out towards the end of the day today. I mean, the fact that Greece is bundling its 4 payments in one lump sum at the end of the month.
Yeah.
They are the first country to do that from the 80s, and the only other country that's ever done that is Zambia. I mean, that's a really big deal for a country to make that kind of change.
Yeah, there's always a possibility that this could happen, but now it's official. Of course, the huge shock surprise story also had to do with the IMF, but it really wasn't about Greece. It came out right at 9:30 this morning when the IMF basically, in a way, told the Fed what to do. We have some, let's hear what Christine Lagarde, head of the IMF, had to say.
We think that there is a case for waiting to raise rates until there are more tangible signs of wage or price inflation than are currently evident. So in other words, we believe that a rate hike would be better off in early 2016.
So everybody was really surprised by this comment, like, oh, I can't believe the IMF is telling the Fed what to do. I didn't find it to be that ridiculous. The Fed has told the ECB what to do. It told the ECB it should do QE. The IMF has advised the Bank of Japan. It's always telling smaller countries what they should do with their economies. So I didn't, you know, I think like Americans were like, oh, I can't believe the IMF is telling us what to do, but we should get over it.
Do they listen, though? I mean, does Janet Yellen call them and say, yeah, hey, let's talk about this?
No, I doubt it. So that's the other thing. I don't think that Yellen is going to consider what Christine Lagarde said at all. I don't think it'll actually have any impact on policy. But I didn't find it to be that ridiculous that the IMF would have a view.
Well, we did wind up seeing, though, a reaction in the bond market. We were coming in today. We were looking at another bond rout. I mean, German 10-year bond yields were up around 1%, which is crazy, the move they've seen. We had the 10-year yield up at its highest level since October. And then it kind of reversed. I mean, we came back from that, and the yields continuing to kind of grind lower here as there is more money rotating into that, more money into the safety sort of reflation trade.
Yeah, we had this crazy two-day move, and then it faded a little bit. Another point for the IMF is that, you know...
You love the IMF.
I actually, when I first saw the news, I was, like, really stunned, and then I sort of, like, switched over to the other side after I, like, thought about it more. The other point is, like, the argument from, like, a pure sort of data perspective is the IMF's view is that it would be risky for the Fed to tighten too soon, and that the date, you know, if they're going to be data dependent, then wait a few more months, perhaps to the early beginning of the next year. But they're kind of right. I mean, the Fed has missed its inflation target for a long time. There's no indication that the inflation is about to overshoot. So I kind of think the IMF is probably right. Like, what's the rush? Why hike in September? Like, wait a little bit and see if you actually hit that inflation level.